to High School OT Live. Here's your host, Nick Stevens.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to High School OT Live. I'm Nick Stevens with TJ Thorpe. You're watching the High School OT postgame show. The 4A state championship in the books. New Bern defeats Grimsley 40-28 to take the 4A state championship, TJ. And they did it without throwing a single pass. Almost 400 rushing yards for New Bern tonight.
Which is honestly not what I expected. I mean, you expected them to run the ball, right? But with the defense that Grimsley has on display, you know, obviously the notable pieces they have on the defensive line, you would assume there would have been something against the grain, something that we haven't seen this season that they would do, but maybe that's what helped them out.
Well, let's show everybody exactly how that happened tonight. We're going to show you some of those highlights, and we'll start with the first drive of the game. New Bern with the ball. Shamir Wright breaking a 22-yard run for a touchdown.
Okay.
6-0 New Bern after the missed extra point. Looked like that might come into play later, but it ended up not. So 6-0 the score. Later first quarter, Grimsley driving. Ryan Stevens, the quarterback, passes it. Hits the knee of his intended receiver, finds the hands of Natavian Green, and this is a big interception return. And it's called back a little ways due to a penalty, so not that great field position, but it's good enough because it does lead to a New Bern touchdown. This is Aaron Herring that's going to get the ball here from the 12-yard line. Herring takes the handoff and finds the end zone. Extra point good this time, 13-0 New Bern. But on the very next play, the ensuing kickoff, TJ loves these plays right here. Grimsley's Terrell Anderson. This reminds him of his high school career. Terrell Anderson fields this at the 2-yard line for the Whirlies and takes this one all the way back 98 yards for a touchdown for the first score for Grimsley. That makes it 13-7 New Bern after one quarter. What you think?
That's beautiful. It's a beautiful touchdown. It's a beautiful setting to score a touchdown.
Yeah, TJ likes all that Carolina blue, even wearing it tonight. Early second quarter, Grimsley takes its first lead. Ryan Stevens calls his own number and scores the 30-yard touchdown on the QB keeper. It's 14-13 Whirlies. But New Bern is going to answer, and it's going to be the guy that we saw score just a few minutes ago, Shamir Wright. His second score of the game, a short 4-yard touchdown run. This touchdown makes it 20-14 Bears, and that's the halftime score.
Yeah, no, and that's about what we thought we would see. One-score game ready to roll into the second half.
And then it's Herring's turn to score again. He's going to break a 66-yard touchdown, working through the defense, cutting back to the opposite side of the field.
Bye.
2-score lead again now for New Bern at 27-14.
Bye. What a great cutback.
Now New Bern turns Grimsley over, then New Bern turns it back over to Grimsley, and they get back in it with a score, 6-yard touchdown run by Mitchell Summers. 27-21 New Bern now in the third quarter. But on the first play of the fourth quarter, New Bern goes up by 2 scores again. Damari Tucker, he takes this one 23 yards for a touchdown on 3rd and 12. Extra point fails, 33-21. And then after a goal line stand by Grimsley, Ryan Stevens tries to get Grimsley back in this game. We're going to get to that play here in just a minute. Hopefully, maybe not. All right.
Nick's a speed demon, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, New Bern, here we go. Here's the play we're looking for. Ryan Stevens, the quarterback for Grimsley, going deep down the field. Terrell Anderson, the 85-yard catch.
That's a seed of a ball.
Whirly score, 2:57 left, but New Bern
have a day, young man,
is going to get the dagger here. 33 seconds left in this game, and Damari Tucker with the exclamation point with a 36-yard touchdown run, 40-28. New Bern
that'll be the ball game.
Is the state champion at the 4A level. And what a game that was, especially on the ground there. For New Bern. Let's bring in Joel Bryant and J. Mike Blake. They are on the field right now at Keenan Stadium. Guys, you guys saw a pretty impressive performance on the ground tonight for New Bern. Tell us what it looked like live and in person.
Yeah, so we made a big deal about the triple option coming into this, but they only ran true triple option plays probably a dozen times. It was mostly just straight up power. That offensive line just had his way with Grimsley the whole night. New Bern's such an impressive team. It's really their whole mentality as a program coming down from Coach Nowell to all the players. You really saw it on full display tonight.
Yeah, the toughest. He talked about toughness is the way that he's built this program. This is his 4th year, so year 4. He talked about in the press conference how there were no transfers moving in. These were New Bern, natives that he came across the river when he left Pamlico County. He took Pamlico County to a 1A runner-up finish. Comes to New Bern, year 4, taken to a state championship. He said it's toughness. It's about just the mentality. And they went out there tonight and said, did not care that Grimsley had probably the best defensive line they faced all year. Just ran it right at him. Again, there was one design, a drop back pass. So there was a sack. So there almost was one pass, but it's the first time since 2017.
Yeah, Tarboro versus Mount Airy, ironically, which we're going to see tomorrow.
That's right. The rematch tomorrow. So that's the last time that we had 0 attempted passes in a state championship team. Pretty impressive stuff. And just the athletes, the cutbacks that were being made, the decisions. A guy who did not win an award, Joel, that you think could have been MVP worthy, was just putting guys on skates all night.
Damari Tucker, the junior quarterback. So this whole thing doesn't work without him, right? He's got to make all the right reads on all the defensive keys. And every single time it seems like he makes the right choice.
Seems like he's always picking up a first down.
Every time he ran, he picked up a first down. Even his 2 biggest runs, I believe, were through the offensive line. It wasn't even to the outside. He's just finding the right pathway through the defense and finding the daylight. He's an impressive player. And he had that long touchdown down here. Then he came right back on the defensive end as a safety and broke up a deep pass to Alex Taylor. Mm-hmm. They play him as safety sometimes, but not all the time.
You need your legs to be fresh when you're an option quarterback. So.
Right. It's just a very impressive player. He's actually Aaron Herring's brother. He'll be back next year, only a junior.
TJ, I know you got a question.
Yeah, well, first off, you guys look amazing standing out there in those lights and the seats. It brings out your eyes. We'll say that. But in all seriousness, we saw the injury with Ja Jarrett tonight. Talk about kind of what that did to help New Bern or maybe change the game for Grimsley.
I think actually, ironically, Grimsley's defensive line, they when Ja went out, they put in the 190-pound guy.
You hold it.
We're having to rotate on the hand.
Just switch off here.
Camera holding here. Right. So they put in a 190-pound guy, and then I think that speed actually helped them out a little bit. Ironically, they had a big stop down here on 4th and goal, 4th and 1. That was without Ja. It's just a tweaked ankle, nothing too serious with him. But it's tough because the way they hit you with the multiplicity in the running game, for those big guys like that. To be able to kind of track it down every play, that's a big thing to ask. And but it's a good thing that he's okay. He's a really special player. They have another guy, the sophomore Andre Hill. He's another 300-pounder. So Grimsley's gonna be fine even without Ja. But we're definitely looking forward to seeing Ja at Georgia.
And I noticed another up-and-comer. They started kind of avoiding running away from him. So Bryce Davis had a really impact.
Number 12.
So because of him, I think Ja Jarrett coming out. Oddly enough, the Grimsley not only held their own defensively, they actually had really big goal line stops, which really is counterintuitive. And I think while we're on defense real quick, this is not the passing line expected from Grimsley, especially with their 2 ACC talented wide receivers. 5 of 16 passing, 102 yards. I mean, almost 85 of them were on one play and 1 interception tonight. And again, the one play it happened on, not trying to take anything away from the receiver, but you saw it on the clip there. The DB is waving over the sidelines. He's cramping up bad. He's like, please call timeout. The coaches are like, just get down. So, if we don't have to take a timeout, neither thing happens. No one takes a timeout. Cramp doesn't happen. They throw a bomb right at him, and that was a touchdown. But the reason they have such a dominant, without that play, it's 20 yards passing, right? Mm-hmm. So the reason why is because that defensive line of New Bern, KJ Sampson, was in the face of the quarterback all night. And it's been a while since I've seen a championship game where DBs are playing that close to those receivers.
Yeah.
They knew they could because they only had to stay in front of them for about a second and a half, it seemed like, before the ball had to come out. There was a goal line stop right before the end of the first half where he throws a fade route, and the fade is out of bounds, but it's out of bounds at the 1. So the fade didn't even make it the 15 yards into the end zone because he had to throw it so early, because I believe that was KJ Sampson bearing down on the quarterback. They are. I think you could have gone either way. A lot of different directions in MVP votes. My MVP vote was KJ Sampson because I thought he changed the entire game. I think he's the biggest reason Grimsley could not throw the ball tonight, and he's one of the big reasons running ball was tough.
I will say the two corners from Grimsley, Amari Berth, the senior, and then Ivion Smith, the sophomore. Having two guys like that allows you to press, right? Amari Berth, he was guarding the top player every round of the playoffs. He guarded Noah Rogers, Nathan Leacock last week, Alex Taylor mostly tonight. It's
pretty good.
Those two guys, they're pretty good corners as well, and that allows you to play them up like that. Even when your defense line's so good, they're still going to have to hold a little bit, right? And they did their job.
One last quick question for you, J. Mike. I heard you ask this question in the post-game press conference. You talked about New Bern being one of the smallest 4A schools in the state, and here they are winning the 4A state championship after we stopped subdividing the playoffs. So they had to go through some of the biggest teams in the state to get to this point and to win. Tell us what Coach Nowell said. People can go back and watch that press conference on High School T if they want. And then, in like 30 seconds, can you just explain the significance of that? Because I know you've been doing a lot of work this week looking at those numbers.
Yeah, he said, of course, they take a lot of pride in it. He said, actually, last year, getting bounced from the playoffs by Rolesville, they beat Wakefield. They lost to Rolesville. That was their playoff run last year. He said, it made us realize how much we have to get better, how we have to work harder, what we have to adapt to. And, man, they went out there and did it. Like, there's a mentality or working out, more intense workouts. He said, we only do 3 workouts a week during the summer. We let our kids have a summer. So it was just the intensity of those workouts. They realized the bar they needed to reach, and they did it.
I want to point out, Grimsley did the same thing on the west side of the bracket. Grimsley's also a sub-2,000 ADM school. They just take down a couple of schools from Charlotte that are over 2,000. So both these teams did it, and I think it's a nice point in case that we had this great 4A game between these schools that aren't even over 2,000 ADM.
All right, Joel Bryant, J. Mike Blake at Keenan Stadium tonight. We'll have more coverage up on High School OT later on and, of course, throughout the day tomorrow. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we talked about Ja Jarrett, the significance of that, TJ. Their head coach discussed that tonight.
Yeah, well, I thought we did fine without him. I don't think it changed anything. He just tweaked his ankle.
So he talked about the Ja Jarrett injury there. How big of a deal do you think that was?
I mean, it's funny you use the term big. Right. I mean, how is it not a big deal, right? You got somebody who's a huge piece of the defense and probably the biggest piece, no pun intended, somebody who impacts the line of scrimmage, which obviously controls, pretty much how make or break of the play, in all honesty. So a lot of times you come in and usually the person behind him isn't as good as him. So there's a reason he's the backup. So I think that it changes the complexion of things a whole heck of a lot, actually. But ultimately, I think the execution of New Bern is really, it wouldn't have mattered, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I think, luckily it sounds like it's not a bad injury.
Right,
so we'll see him back shortly. I want to play one quick soundbite.
Season
next
college.
Season for Georgia, right? Well, you know what I mean. It's late, people, and it's been a long day. And we only had one game. We still got 3 more to go. Stay tuned for tomorrow. It could get crazy in here. I want to hear from head coach Tori Nowell of New Bern. He addressed the media tonight. Again, you can watch both of these press conferences in their entirety right now on High School.
Got you. Just want to say we're super thankful to be in the situation that we're in today. Our guys have been working their butts off the whole all season and these 4 years. These 3 guys here are seniors, and they've been battling and they trust the process the whole time. And I'm just thankful. Like I told guys before, I felt like we built this program the right way. We didn't do it with transfers. We didn't do it with all the extra stuff that happens. Like, these kids are New Bern kids. They grew up here. They battled here. They played ball together the whole time. I just love these guys, and I'm super thankful.
So Coach talked about how this means so much to the kids who've grown up in Eastern North Carolina. They want to play for New Bern as they're growing up, and here they are winning a state championship. You and I were down there talking to KJ for your show this summer. You know some guys who played down there. You played with in college. How big of a deal do you think that is for them?
Well, it's huge because, one, now you have more locker room bragging rights at the college level. This is all we do in the locker room is sit around and talk about whose high school is better than the others in the state. So New Bern will get that. But the biggest thing is just as a community, I'm looking on social media and I'm seeing the team ride, leave New Bern. You see the whole city. You see it all through just the teammates that I know. Kevin Reddick, he calls me all the time. Hey, TJ, before the Jordan game, we had a whole thing. And then, Mike Hughes, who's currently playing now, still in the NFL, he's another one who speaks about, everything that they do, everything out there, the way that it's close-knit, small city, small field, but they have big aspirations, as you can see by all the success they have. And then just, again, like he mentioned about KJ being a family man, not a people person, not whatever. We're talking football, and he's mentioning family, right? Yep. And that's to a testament to the team. They think of each other as a family. They carry themselves that way, and then act. As you see last night with KJ, he'll list the whole team, when we ask for a few players, and that's to his credit and to the team's credit. So I think that it speaks volumes for them as a city. And then moving forward, as we play bigger teams in schools and competition, that, it's not about the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight and the dog. So there you go.
I also want to ask you about this. I haven't had a chance to talk to you about Aaron Harry and the type of player he is. He had 7 touchdowns in that game against Rollsville. Yeah. He had a good game again tonight. Yeah. What do you like about him as a running back?
Well, he's a big play guy. I think that's the biggest thing. When I say that, he's not only a big play guy, but he's a guy who can handle some of the dirty work. So he's a guy who can run in between the tackles, right? And he can finish runs and he can work behind his pads, and he's a physical guy. But then you see time and time again, you don't get 7 touchdowns because we're just handing you the ball on the goal line. Right. He's taking off and he's finishing runs 20, 30 yards downfield. And ultimately, I mean, it goes unnoticed, I think, a lot of times due to the offense and due to the fact that they run so much. You just kind of take it for granted. But for him to come in and do the things he does time in and time out, I think it's almost like having that deuce of spade or that joker in your back pocket where you can always, things go awry. We just give it to Aaron and see how it goes.
And it works most of the time if you're New Bern. 16-0, a perfect season for the 2 seed out of the 4A East. The New Bern Bears are your 2022 4A state champions, beating Grimsley tonight 40-28.
I got it. If you ever see a bear, run.
You see what I did there? TJ's very worried about running into a bear when he goes to New Bern. Very concerned. And now there's been a sighting in Cary, and he's very worried about that.
Wake Forest. I know you all see this stuff on TV and social media, but now that they've won a state championship in Chapel Hill, do not be surprised if you see stuff around here. So we're going to practice. I told you, I talked to KJ off record. He told me to get big. It's a little easier for him because he's a big guy. But you get big and you make noises. So if you're the bear,
you're not small.
If you're the bear, right? You just, you see what I'm saying? Now, I know you wouldn't attack me.
All right.
You said you started laughing. What do you think the bear was going to do?
Well, you're not as scary as a bear.
No, I'm saying he would have probably laughed too.
Yeah, probably. You're probably right.
There you go.
All right. Our coverage continues online tonight. We will have a lot more coming your way from this game, including full story highlights, interviews, a slideshow. We also have a crew on the way to New Bern right now. We will have live coverage of their return as state champions later tonight on High School OT and the High School OT app. Then tomorrow we have 3 more state championships. TJ and I will be back here after each one of those games with live post-game coverage and, of course, coverage throughout the games on High School OT. At 11 o'clock, we have the 2A state championship as East Duplin meets Reedsville. That game will be at UNC, and then 2 games at NC State starting at 3 o'clock tomorrow. The 1A, Tarboro and Mount Airy, and then we will wrap things up at 7 o'clock tomorrow night with the 3A state championship between Northern Nash and East Lincoln. Again, full coverage of all games on highschoolot.com and the free High School OT app. Any last thoughts?
No, I'm sleep tight. Everybody pick out your clothes for tomorrow. All right. Get everything ready because tomorrow we're rolling. We're crowning champions. And none of them will be named TJ.
And congratulations one more time to the New Bern Bears, the 4A state champions. We'll see you tomorrow right back here on High School OT for the postgame show.
Good night.